Welcome in, one and all, to the Rant with me, Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the let's start again. Guys, it's a very rough day for me, Pugs Moran. It is. I got a lot on my mind. Got a lot of stuff that we got to talk about here. Let me start that again. We'll do it like a pro. Take two. Welcome into the Rant with me, Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios every Monday through Friday, round about noon. It's talk radio for normal people, non-political lifestyle talk, the way I believe talk radio has always been at its best. Hasn't been this way in quite some time, which is why I do a stream. I don't like politics. I'm sorry. I don't like everybody yelling at each other. Actually, that's not true. I love it when we yell at each other. I like when we yell at each other over dumb things that we can all relate to. And that's what I try to do every day here on The Rant. Of course, I frame it in all the day's hot topics, current events, buzzworthy trends, all of that good stuff. But throughout the course of this, I like to think that we get to know each other on a molecular level, not on a, he wears a red hat, he wears a, what I don't know. There's like nothing, the other side, there's like no weird, I don't know, what, blue hair? He's got blue hair, he wears a red hat. I don't know. Point is this, normal people don't care about such things. And we try to do that every day. We've been doing it every day for 3 years here. You freaks in the chat room, I don't even know what you guys are all about. You're here every day like clockwork. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. The show is performed by yours truly as a stream of consciousness. I have always been an ensemble radio personality. I've worked with a group, a partner for most of my successful years. But then even before that, as part of a troupe, as part of an ensemble. So this is me all by myself. I have to do it as a stream of consciousness. I've got no one else to talk to. So buckle up. What that means is whatever the hell the next thing is I'm thinking I'm going to say. To a lot of people, broadcasters, isn't that kind of dangerous? Nah, not really. You know why? Because I'm not a jerk. I think I'm like just kind of like a normal, nice guy. And I think that whatever is next in my head to be said is probably not going to be horrible. It might be wrong. I'm wrong quite often, which is another thing that you never hear from your talk radio hosts. Oh my God, they're all professors, right? They all know. Meanwhile, half of them were doing morning zoos 5 years ago, but now, they're telling you how to live your life. We don't do that here. The show itself, the rant, if you will, plays out in 4 quarters. This is really just a way for me to stay hemmed in with my stream of consciousness. The 4 quarters are their segments. First quarter, antecedently on this day. History. We look at the history of this day. We're like, hey, here's what happened on this day. It's nothing. I'm not breaking any ceilings with this sort of talk innovation, but it is done a little bit differently. Quarter 2 is birthdays, people born on this day. Again, we're not doing anything new. It's just the way we do it. Celebrities, historical figures, notable quotables born on this day. Do we like them and wish them a happy birthday? Or are we like, I don't like that guy. That guy said this back in 1950. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's quarter 2. Sorry, I'm distracted. Don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of things going on in the world today. I'm trying to decide how I feel about Melania's hat. There seems to be a lot of discussion online about Melania's hat. I don't know. I think she's a stylish woman. Probably has a better bead on what is fashionable, so than I do. So I don't know. I don't know if I kind of looks villainous, right? But hot. Like she's a sexy, beautiful woman who is very much, yeah, that's a hat. Someone called her Carmen Sandiego online. I'm like, that's our first lady, dude. How about a little bit of decorum if we can? Quarter 3 is deads. After we do the birthdays in quarter 2, we go to quarter 3. Those are dead people who died on this day. Again, what do we think of them? And to that end, we do a little thing we call heaven or hell. On their deathbed, did this person who died on this day, did they ascend to heaven in the eternal glories of all that's promised? Or they go to, they go to the other place. Down there with, Manson and Hitler and Napoleon and people like that. All right, so those are the first 3 quarters. The fourth quarter is where we just relax. We stretch out. We talk about everything that's happening. That's the headlines. Usually the show takes about 2 hours. sometimes a little bit longer. We've been known to go as long as 5 because if something big starts happening, a breaking news story, we're going to stay with it. We're just going to hang out and we're going to talk about what we're all witnessing in real time. What else do I need to mention? RadioMisfits.com. That's our platform. Check out all the podcasts there. Got a bunch of really cool podcasts that are coming. I'm finding people here who are doing stuff in DFW who I want to, make a part of our DFW Radio Misfits. Radio Misfits Dallas, if you will, from the E-Gallery here in the beautiful Design District. All right. Howdy, Mikey. Let's say hi to the chat room. It's starting to fill in. Mikey's here. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody. It's a little bit off schedule day. People who typically might be at work aren't at work, whatever. I appreciate you making the change and hanging out. We got KB. We got Chuckles Nelson. We got Jameson. We got Byron. We got Peter. Mama B. Look at Mama B just chiming in. All right. I don't have time to do this with everybody because we're so popular. Anybody new in the chat room? I'm always looking for new chatters because you people who are in the chat room, you come in every day for years. You come in and you talk. And I don't know if you know each other from Adam, but you know each other now. And I really like that. Need to be able to capitalize on that in some way. But so if you see a new person in the chat room today, make sure you're cool with them. Make sure you let them know. They can say whatever they want, but they might get yelled at, but then no hurt feelings. We all get over it, right? Chat room is a nice place. People seem to get along. Hell, we've got people from all different ideologies hanging out in the chat room every day for 3 years, and that's a beautiful thing, and that is a testament to what we're trying to do here. We're not feckless, fence-riding middle people here. That doesn't really... I'm in the middle. Nah, you're gutless. What we do here is we just react one at a time to things based on nothing other than how we were raised. All right, this is how I feel about this because this is how the people who raised me instilled certain worldviews. And that's what we do. All right, so we got that settled? Okay. Yeah, I'm wearing a Notre Dame jersey. All right, let's get small talk out of the way, right? I know there's an inauguration. The United States president, the most powerful man in the world, is being sworn into office for another 4-year stint. I know that's big news, and everybody's talking about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in a different way, though. You can already tell. My angle is, why are these people dressed like that? Okay, so there's a lot of people who are dressed very, very strangely. We're going to point some of those people out. Other than that, whole bunch of pardons, whole bunch of executive office orders by Biden on the way out. The new incoming president is promising all kinds of executive orders signed as soon as he gets back to the White House, which looks like that's where he's going. So I don't care about that stuff. If anything, they ever decide they're going to come after middle-aged, loudmouth Notre Dame fans, then I'll be interested. But we shouldn't look. Look, I'm trying to get through what is a very political day without being political because, that's not what we do here. So let's talk about my jersey because I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. It's inauguration day, too. Today is something much more important than that. It is the national championship game pitting my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What number am I wearing? I'm wearing number 9. Notre Dame number 9. See, we don't have names on the back of our jerseys because Notre Dame doesn't believe that any player is more important than the team. With that said, 2 weeks ago, or the last time they played, they had names on the back of their jerseys for the first time. It's like, all right, Marcus Freeman understands that these players, they would like their names on the back of the jersey because of, NIL and whatnot. So Notre Dame has changed. Another of the great innovations that I believe Coach Marcus Freeman has made there and loosening that old, lame, very constricted, we invented college football attitude that has been pervasive there. Marcus Freeman came in and just went, nah, we're going to do it different. This jersey was bought number 9 in the annals of Notre Dame, has traditionally been a lot like 88 with the Cowboys, or I guess a better example is 11 with Penn State. Number 11 at Penn State is Micah Parsons, LeVar Arrington. Number 11 at Penn State is the game wrecker. That's if you get number 11 at 88 with the Dallas Cowboys. If they give you 88, you're in well, 9 is kind of like that with Notre Dame. It's always sort of been their defensive game record. Although there is no rhyme of reason. I don't know. Sometimes offensive dudes wear 9, and it's like, but that's supposed to be the linebacker or something. Anyway, this was worn, this number 9, when I purchased it. It was for Tom Zbikowski. Tom Zbikowski, big hitting free safety. 20 years old, probably, this jersey. Zbikowski, I bought the jersey because Zbikowski, although he probably could have had a career in the NFL, as I say, as a big hitting safety, Tom Zbikowski instead wanted to be welterweight champion of the world. So instead of going into the draft, Tom Zbikowski, number 9, the big hitting safety of Notre Dame, went into professional boxing and got his clock cleaned, and he ain't been heard from since. So much from that. No, but I loved Zib. Tom Zbikowski. He's a number 9. Notre Dame game tonight. They're taking on Ohio State. I am, of course, a Notre Dame fan. A couple of fun facts about that. You know what? I should share this. We'll do this. We'll do a whole segment where I can give you some of the mind-blowing differences between the University of Notre Dame and Ohio State. It is truly a David and Goliath type situation if David had a whole lot of money too, because Notre Dame, their endowment is insane. So it's not like a money discrepancy, but as far as we'll get into all of that. I want to say right here at the start of the show, before we get into all of that, I want to say right here at the start of the show that as a Notre Dame fan, I fully expect to get blown out. I fully expect to be absolutely humiliated on national TV because it's what we do as Notre Dame. Okay. I've always said, I don't need this. Understand, I don't need this Notre Dame national championship because I've already got one. I always say that, on your deathbed, there's nothing sadder than an old man who's going to die not seeing his team win. All of my teams have won. All right. I have already, at this stage in my life, I've checked that box. I have seen every single one of the teams that I root for with my heart win the world championship in their sport. I saw the Bears do it in 85. They were first out of the box. I got lousy with the Bulls in the 90s. So forget about that. Basketball, I'm good. I've seen my team dominate. Hockey, of course, the Blackhawks were a bit of a dynasty they won 3 cups in 5 years. Blackhawks, certainly. White Sox, my White Sox won. And even, the Cubs are not my team. I hate my Cubs, but even the Cubs got their win. And Notre Dame, I saw Notre Dame win it all in 1988. Maybe it was 1989. I don't know. I guess I could say that this will be the first time I could see them win in the actual playoff where it's not just writers at the end of the game going, well, I think they're the best team. So maybe that's undisputed national championship, right? Maybe that's something to root for, but I don't need it. And I'm fully expecting to watch my Irish lose by 40 points, just like the last time they were in a national championship game. And I was so certain they were going to beat LSU. And it was the Jamarcus Russell game. Remember the game that got Jamarcus Russell drafted by the Oakland Raiders? Jamarcus Russell played like a maniac in that game, and they won a national title, and we got crushed. Wasn't even close. I think that was Charlie Weiss, though. So this is Marcus Freeman. He's got a different team. It doesn't matter. Me and my 15-year-old son are fully prepared for whatever comes tonight, emotionally. I don't expect us to win. I do not. It's Ohio State. Come on. So that's where my head is at. Okay, good, guys. That's where. Hi, Barney. Barney's here. Hey, now, Sports Bras are here. He says the line has gone down to Ohio State -8. Yeah, that's when do you hear some of these differences between these two teams? I'll give you one. Ohio State has 15, maybe 12, might be 12. I'm going to say 15 because it sounds more impressive for this purpose. Ohio State has 15 5-star recruits on their team. 5-star rated college football players, 15 of them, maybe 12. Notre Dame's got one. Notre Dame's got one. They got one guy. And I think it's a corner. I think it's Watts, right? Is it our corner? I don't know. Or safety? Anyway, so, there's just, I don't we'll talk about. I'll give you my full preview of what I think we're going to see in the game. So anyway, that's going to do it. What do you say we get started here? Let's get the show rolling. As I say, the first of 4 categories. Let's do it. It is the 20th day, inauguration day here in these here United States. 2024, January the 20th, 2024. It is, do some math here, the 20th day of the year. There's 345 more of these remaining until the end of the year. So as we like to say around here, say it with me, get those New Year's Eve plans started. You only got like 11 months and 10 days, 11 days, whatever, I don't know. Let's do quarter one, antecedently on this day, where we take a look back at some of the events that have helped shape our understanding of this particular day throughout history. Maybe it'll give us an edge on what to prepare for in the coming hours. Who knows? On this day, antecedently in the year 1887, these here United States, the Senate allows the Navy to lease Pearl Harbor as a naval base. 1887. 1887 is when we got in the Hawaii business. Antecedently on this day in 1937, we're going to do a bunch of these, okay, just so we know. Guess what? History swore in a lot of presidents of note on this day. On this day in 37, Roosevelt was sworn in for the, it was his second term, but this is the very first time that January 20th was the designated day on this day in 1937. Before then, I don't know. I don't know when they did it. Did they do it like the day after the election or something? And then they went, this is too fast. And then for like a bunch of years, it was like early December. They're like, we need more time. And then eventually it got to January 20th. That's where it started and where it's been since this day in 1937. 61 saw JFK get inaugurated. His first Roman Catholic to be inaugurated as president of these here United States. I never realized that. Like, I was raised very Roman Catholic, like Catholic schools and Catholic church and Catholic grandma. I mean, it was, very Roman Catholic. It was the voodoo of my childhood. Look, if you're going to be raised in any religion, I can't speak for you evangelicals, you Baptists or whatever, but if you're like into like comic book stuff, like Catholic school for a kid, a lot of like crazy Avenger type stories and all that stuff. So I never realized as a kid growing up in a very Catholic community that there was a problem with Catholics. I had no idea. I had no idea. Like when I'm a little kid learning about Kennedy, they're like, and he was the first Catholic. Can you believe it? They elected a Catholic. And I'm like 10 years old going, yeah? What's up? What's the problem? What? I didn't know. I had no idea. Apparently we're papists. I don't know. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I like to explain. I'm a cultural Catholic. Like I dig the bells and whistles. I like the big hats and the incense. I like the bad monk songs. I like all of that stuff. I just don't know where I stand on the details. That's where we are. Antecedently on this day in 1986 in the United States, Martin Luther King Day is observed for the very first time. Happy MLK Day. It's a federal holiday. 1986. Antecedently on this day in 2009, Obama got inaugurated, 44th president. Antecedently on this day in 2017, Donald J. Trump is inaugurated as 45 for the very first time. And last year it was Biden. Biden and Kamala Harris were sworn in last year. That's right. That's it. I'm sorry. Not a whole lot. History forgot this day because presidents got sworn in. All right, let's do quarter two. What do you say? Segment 2. We call this birthdays. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. They claim it's their birthday. I don't know. I didn't talk to their moms. These are just like what their publicists say. So let's work from that. Okay, here we go. Born on this day in 1882. Here's an interesting story. You want to hear story time? I'll give you story time. Born on this day in 1882, Johnny Torrio. Who's Johnny Torrio? Why, Johnny Torrio is one of the most important organized gangsters in the history of American organized crime. Yeah, Johnny Torrio was Al Capone's boss. So here's the story. So there was this dude in Chicago named Big Jim Calissimo. Big Jim Calissimo, he ran the entire Midwest. He was like the biggest gangster in the whole Midwest, sitting on his throne there in Chicago. He had 2 henchmen that worked for him. One of them was Johnny Torrio. Johnny Torrio was kind of Big Jim Calissimo's right-hand man. But then Johnny Torrio had a right-hand man. And Johnny Torrio's right-hand man was a dude named Al Capone. Johnny Torrio and Al Capone whacked Big Jim Calissimo. who was the boss. You don't whack a boss, but they were doing it like crazy. I mean, I can tell you all the times bosses got whacked. You want to talk about Big Jim? Here we go. We're talking about him. You want to talk about Albert Anastasia? We'll talk about him. You want to talk about Big Paulie Castellano? We'll talk about him. Bosses rarely get whacked, and when they do, it's a big deal. This might be the biggest boss whacking of all time. Johnny Torrio and Al Capone whacked Big Jim Colosimo to take over what would become the Chicago outfit. Johnny Torrio was the boss. And then Pugs Moran, Jaime Weiss, and Northside Gang, they hit Johnny Torrio and his wife. They both got shot. And you know what Johnny Torrio did? Johnny Torrio in 1925 said, so this whole prohibition thing we got going, you know, we're making like $1.5 billion in 2025 money. It was. They were making $1.5 billion a year in prohibition. Johnny Torrio, 1925, he's like, I'm out. He's like, hey, Al, you want it? And Al's like, I'll take it. And Johnny was like, all right. Johnny left. He got out. He cashed out with like, you know, he was probably worth $1 billion back in 1925. Johnny Torrio, born on this day in 1882, one of the great gangster stories. He got out. Of course, that would be replicated by the great Tony Accardo. And when I say great, I mean as far as like, you know, in the lexicon of gangsters. Accardo probably wasn't a great guy. Accardo was a crime boss in America for over 60 years, and he never spent a night in jail. That's how you do it with these guys. All right, born on this day in 1882, Johnny Torrio. Freakily enough, born 1 year later in 1883, Enoch L. Johnson. Enoch L. Johnson, born on this day in 1883. You ever seen Boardwalk Empire? Yeah, this is Buscemi. This is the character Nucky. Nucky Thompson is what they were called. He was called Nucky Thompson in the television show Boardwalk Empire. But he was playing a real character named Nucky Johnson. Yeah, Enoch Thompson, played by Steve Buscemi, was in fact Enoch Johnson. Enoch Nucky Johnson. Built Atlantic City and got into cahoots and business with the aforementioned Johnny Torrio, who was also born on this day. Maybe that's how they bonded. They're like, your birthday's January 20th? Born on this day in 1930. Oh, man, one of my heroes. One of my favorite people. Nutty as a crap house rodent. I mean, he's out there. And why not? The man is loud. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1930. Buzz Aldrin. I love me some Buzz Aldrin. Remember when Buzz Aldrin punched out that dude? There was a great video. This is Buzz don't care. Buzz don't care. Buzz is a little nutty. And by the way, also, people don't realize this about Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin is a genius. Okay? Don't get him confused with Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Aldrin is a really, really smart, accomplished scientist, in addition to being a badass astronaut. Buzz Aldrin. Dude walks up to him. Buzz Aldrin's like at a book signing, and some dude walks up to him and goes, you didn't go to the moon. You're lying to people, or whatever these stupid people say when they try and get a reaction. And Buzz popped him in the face. Buzz is like, I'm 80. Crack. Got to appreciate that. Buzz Aldrin, born on this day in 1930, Apollo 11 astronaut, one of the first men to walk on the moon. Not the first. That was Neil. Neil was the boss. Although Buzz, I remember the summer, Buzz thought he should go first because he landed it. Because Buzz was like, you know, the guy who, but Neil's like, but I'm the captain. So anyway, that got squashed months before it ever actually became an issue. But, you know, there was a case to be made that Buzz Aldrin should have been Neil Armstrong. Born on this day in 1930. Excuse me. Born on this day in 1946. Here's a sad one. He just died last week. David Lynch. David Lynch. Very sad. Born on this day in 1946. We talked about David Lynch, about how I have this like sort of complicated relationship with his work. I love Wild at Heart. I love Blue Velvet. I love Twin Peaks, his TV show. But then there were other things that David Lynch did that I was like, huh? Sitting there watching Mulholland. I'm like, huh? I don't get this. What? This movie's stupid. Eraserhead. This movie is so stupid. This is why do people say Eraserhead is good? I'm trying to watch it. Born on this day in 1953, Jeffrey Epstein. Born on this day in 1956, Bill Maher. Bill Maher, talk about complicated relationships. Used to love Politically Incorrect in the 90s. Was a big fan of his first 10-year run on HBO with his real-time show. And then there became a period where Bill Maher, I just felt it was, I couldn't handle it. It all became politics. Remember, as this country got torn apart, I was just like, oh, this isn't fun anymore. This isn't just talking about the world now. This is now half the country is evil. So, I got out. Came back to Bill Maher I'd say about a year ago. He's better than ever. And if you saw his show on Friday, his rant at the end of Real Time with Bill Maher from HBO on the LA wildfires, it was just tremendous. It was terrific. Bill Maher, man, swinging for the fences, and it's gone. He was great. Born on this day in 1956, celebrating a birthday today. I'd also say Bill Maher's got a podcast, Club Random, that's also very good. Because what you can't take away from Bill Maher is that he's a tremendous interviewer. He will sit down with somebody and you can get stuff out of them in the way Howard Stern. I used to say the two greatest interviewers that I have ever seen, the two masters of the craft, were Howard Stern and, are you ready for this? Danny Bonaducci. Danny Bonaducci is the greatest celebrity interviewer I ever saw. Because every celebrity that he interviewed knew him from him being a child actor. Every celebrity he interviewed was already comfortable with him. And he could ask anything because Danny Bonaducci had done everything. Danny Bonaducci had been embarrassed coast to coast for a decade by his actions. So when it came time to him doing interviews on the radio, it turned out, wow, Danny's really smart. And holy crap, does he have chemistry with every celebrity. Oh my God, that's Tom Hanks who's just divulging that he did something bad once. No, Bonaducci and Howard Stern. Bill Maher is right up there. Bill Maher is a tremendous celebrity interviewer. He gets into people's heads and they say things. Incidentally, I'm a terrible celebrity interview. I get caught up in I don't want them to be mad at me. I'm terrible. That's why I don't do celebrity interviews. I'm a fanboy. I can't. And if I don't like them, it always ends badly. As Kelly and I, we had an enemies list of celebrities who we tried to interview and it ended badly. Tanya Harding, of course. Tanya Harding tried to physically get violent with me. Who else? She had a problem. Oh, Dave, who's the guy? Dave Navarro. Didn't like him. Chrissy Hind. Anyway, Jim Gaffigan. Famously, Jim Gaffigan hates us, which is so horrible because he seems like such a lovely man. And yet we got sideways 15 years ago and we've never been able to fix that. I don't know what we're talking about. That's what happens with the stream of consciousness. Sometimes I get lost. Born on this day in 1966, Rainn Wilson. Happy birthday to Dwight from The Office. One of the best characters of all time, I think. All right, let's go into quarter three. Heaven or hell. These are people who died on this day. Let's open up their life's resume, go over it with a fine-tooth comb, and then decide whether or not they went to heaven or to hell. Dead on this day in 1965, Alan Freed. Alan Freed, one of my heroes. Well, he's not a hero, just someone that I've always had a spot of interest in. Alan Freed is an early rock and roll DJ. And when I say early rock and roll DJ, I mean the guy who invented the phrase rock and roll. So, I guess he's the first. And like any great innovator, he died penniless and addicted to alcohol, I believe. I believe he was a drunk. Alan Freed basically invented the idea that you could play this music that was called race music, and you could play it to white people, and they wouldn't completely freak out. And as a matter of fact, they'd tune in for it, and you could sell commercials and all that. And rock and roll radio was born because of Alan Freed. And by the way, it should be noted, too, that one of the great critiques of this time period in early rock and roll is that, yes, they started to use race music, but what they did was they Taylor Swifted that stuff. They just re-recorded songs from, black artists like Chuck Berry and Fats Domino, and they gave it to Pat Boone. And Pat Boone and stuff would be out there I found my thrill on that blueberry hill. It just wasn't the same thing. Alan Freed rejected that. Alan Freed played black artists. Played black artists in Cleveland, then on to New York. Alan Freed. Oh, he's in hell. I'm certain Alan Freed's in hell because, radio people, one, that'll get you to hell. I'll tell you, a career in radio. If you're still in radio, oh man, Unless you're just doing it for the health insurance, which would be basically, my reason. I like that. I will absolutely, I'm 55 years old and I got chest pains. I would happily take a corporate radio job for the health insurance. That good corporate, I'm kidding. It was all a joke. So don't anybody who cares about me freak out. I don't have chest pains. It was a joke. All right. There you go. A little secret coded message to my mother who may be listening, and I don't want her worrying about anything. I am fine. Look at me. I'm good. I had to move somebody this weekend. I helped move somebody this weekend. So we're good. All right, let's do the deaths. Alan Freed. He's in hell. We're gonna put him in hell. Dead on this day in 1993. First of all, heaven preemptively. Of course, heaven preemptively. Does anybody know this woman's story? This woman died in 1993. My God. Hold on. This is what I do when I try to fill time because I'm trying to do the production on the fly. Ladies and gentlemen, dead on this day in 1993, an absolute angel, Audrey Hepburn. When I call her an angel, she's a freaking angel. I mean, I like to take these moments on this show when we talk about people from the past and almost exclusively I refer to them as them dudes. Just guys who were famous who you have no idea what else was going on with them. Guys like Chris Christopherson. Chris Christopherson's one of them dudes. Sidney Poitier was one of them dudes. Steve McQueen, one of them dudes. I talk about these guys. An example, Chris Christopherson. Chris Christopherson was like a national champion football player, Rhodes Scholar, helicopter combat pilot, West Point instructor, and janitor to Willie Nelson. I mean, one of them dudes, right? It's like, holy crap, look at all this stuff. Audrey Hepburn is a lady. I mean, I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to put it in any higher terms. She's a lady. When you look at her, first of all, let's just go with the basics, right? In my opinion, she's one of the most beautiful women that God ever created. I mean, she's just flawless. She's just absolutely gorgeous. Those big giant doe eyes, those cheekbones, that little pixie cut. Come on, man. Look at that. Look at those arms. Look at that neck. I love a neck. I love a neck. I like a gazelle-like neck. It's like my thing. Anyway. So let's just dispense with that. She's one of the most beautiful women in the world. Every time people go, Marilyn Monroe is the most, I'm like, she's a fat girl next to Audrey Hepburn, with all due respect. Audrey Hepburn is, nations go to war over women that look like this, okay? Marilyn Monroe is your girlfriend who works at the mall. Would you stop it? Look at her. All right. But also, I mean, what she went through in World War II, she was like a spy. She was like a little kid spy. She was a world-class ballerina in the Netherlands during Nazi-occupied World War II. She did all of these things. She helped with the Dutch resistance. Like, she was one of them badasses like that as a kid. Now, I don't know if she honeypotted, but my God, I mean, how valuable would 18-year-old Audrey Hepburn be if you're trying to honeypot some Nazi officers? Point is this. She then goes on to become one of the world's most beloved actresses for essentially a comet streak across the sky. Because it was in 1968 that her, the world's number one most respected and revered actress, said, yeah, I quit. Not going to do it anymore. Going to get married. I want to have kids. And she did almost nothing for the rest of her life. After being this absolute superstar. There was 1 year, check this out. There was 1 year where she won the BAFTA, which is the British Academy Award for Best Actress. She won the Golden Globe for Best Actress. She won the Oscar for Best Actress. She won an Emmy for Best Actress. It was all in the same year. And then also, for a totally unrelated thing, she won the Tony that year on Broadway. I mean, she became an EGOT in 1 year, basically. And then, she would go on to have some of her biggest films. Sabrina, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Charade. And then she just, she stopped. She's like, I want to get married. I want to dial it back. And she went into seclusion, but she didn't stop using who she was. She became the global ambassador for UNICEF for like 30 years. She's been honored by the United Nations. She's a saint, for crying out loud. And the very last thing that she ever did in film was she died. She died before this film was released, and she hadn't done any films in 20 years. Steven Spielberg convinced her to come back and do one scene in a movie. And she was so flattered. She's like, okay, I don't act anymore, but I'll do it. And her big comeback was in that Steven Spielberg film, Always, where at the end of the film, she plays God or an angel or however you interpret it. But that was her thing, this celestial image of perfection. That was the last time Audrey Hepburn. So heaven, yeah, I think so. I think she's probably got a throne in heaven. Audrey Hepburn, dead on this day in the year 1992. She's terrific. And you know how I fully admit that I spent years deriding the idea of the rom-com because I was a guy. I'm like, rom-coms are stupid. But, I'm always like, with a girlfriend or something. She's like, let's watch something. I'm always like, I'd be okay with a rom-com. If you want me to be the cool boyfriend, I'll sit here and totally tough it out through a rom-com. Truth is, I kind of like rom-coms. The Notebook. Are you insane? When Harry Met Sally, I think that is the modern, like in the Super Bowl era, that would be like the modern beginning of the rom-com when Harry Met Sally. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Sleepless in Seattle, yes, please. How about my favorite Christmas movie of all time? Love Actually. That's a rom-com. That's a Christmas rom-com, and it's fantastic. So, okay, so I admit. Yes, I'm sitting here. I'm all obsessed with the national championship game tonight, but I also like a rom-com. And I got to tell you, Breakfast at Tiffany's, if you've never seen it, I think it's the greatest rom-com ever made. And they didn't even know it was a rom-com when they were making it. Breakfast at Tiffany's, the ultimate rom-com. Rom-com draft! All right, off the top of my head, let's do a rom-com draft. Number 1, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Number 2, When Harry Met Sally. Number 3, Love Actually. Number 4, The Notebook. Number 5, rom-com. I don't know, California, maybe, with Brad Pitt. Remember that? There you go. That's kind of a rom-com. It's got some other elements. There we go. Moving on. Audrey Hepburn. She's going to heaven. She died on this day, 1993. Okay, dead on this day in 2022. This was a weird one. I mean, I never saw it coming. I mean, I guess we probably could have because he's old and famous for being out of shape, right? 2022, we lost Meatloaf. Meatloaf. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. That's a pretty cool song for him. I'm not saying it's a pretty cool song. It's a pretty cool song for him because if you remember, Meatloaf was a one-hit wonder. Meatloaf was Peter Frampton, if I'm being honest. Peter Frampton, 1976, 1977, you're like, oh my God. He's the biggest rock star on the planet and will always be the biggest rock star on the planet. Peter Frampton. And then nothing for like 30 years. Hey, whatever happened to Peter Frampton? Well, Meatloaf was kind of like that too. Meatloaf had that a string of hits. By the way, let me just tell you, you want to turn your nose up to Meatloaf? 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. That song, that's a banger. That's a great song. Jim Steinman, who wrote all those big over-the-top songs for Meatloaf. Jim Steinman outdid himself on that one. That is a great, great song. 'Cause 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's a good song. So anyway, Meatloaf died, but I got a story about Meatloaf, and I've told this story a number of times. There was 1997, 6, 5, I don't know, whenever that song hit. He had his big comeback, What is his big comeback? No, I can't think of his comeback. I want you. No, that's 2 out of 3 ain't bad. His, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. That was his big comeback. That one was like years after everyone was like, Meatloaf, he's funny. He's a big fat guy, sings. We forgot about him. Came back, boom, he's huge. So he's touring the country. This album's huge. That I would do, huge. He's playing stadiums. He's going around the country. So I get this call. I'm in the office. I'm working at the Loop, Kevin Matthews show. I get this call in the office. It's from the local promoter, Jam Promoter. They're like, hey, got an idea. Actually, I lied. I got this call from Cindy Gatziolis. Cindy was our promotions person. She said, hey, they got this idea. And I'm like, yeah, what's that? They're like, you want to play meatloaf and softball? To which my initial response was like, I'd rather play Prince in badminton. I mean, what are these just random things we're throwing out? So she goes on to tell me that Meatloaf and his crew, his roadies and whatnot, what they do to pass the time on the long days on the road is that when they get into a town, they like to travel or they like to challenge the town's #1 morning show to a softball game. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now our show, we weren't exactly athletes. we were all clowns. There were nobody on our show that was an athlete. Trust me. So I'm like, oh, okay. So this should be fun. So what we decided was I took it back to the show and we're like, let's do this. And we're all doing it. And so we put up this big thing. We got this park district in south suburbs of Chicago to put it on for us at the last minute. All of these people showed up. It was going to be the morning show versus Meatloaf. And we thought we'd be cute because I'm like, we suck. Like, there's no way. I mean, honestly, this whole morning show is a bunch of funny stoners. Nobody is good at sports. The girls were. We had two girls. We had a sports girl, Peggy, who was like a standout athlete. She was it. She was all we had, Peggy Kaczynski. And then it's like me and Doc, and we're like, Doc, you're good at sports, right? And he's like, why? Because I'm black? And we're like, well, yeah. You thought maybe. He's like, no, I don't do sports. So we went out and we got ringers. We thought, and I thought, I'm like, let's just get a whole bunch of our pro athlete friends to suddenly be on this fictitious softball team that we're creating. So we went out, we got Tom Waddle, who was an NFL wide receiver. We got, then we had Mike Tomczak, who was a backup quarterback in the NFL. We had Chris Chelios, and Jeremy Roenick. That's right. We had Chelios and Roenick from the Blackhawks. So I'm like, oh, we're going to smoke Meatloaf. Because I'm thinking these are professional athletes. This is a pickup game of softball. I've got my outfield peppered with dudes who make millions of dollars being athletes. There's no way Meatloaf crushed us. Meatloaf's team, they won it was like 14-0 after 3 innings, and it was slaughter rule. And then we realized we'd been had because as it turns out that like Meatloaf's entire road crew are all retired Major League Baseball players. That's right. He trotted out a team that looked like the 1987 Oakland A's. He had a team of, who's that guy? That's my guitar tech. That looks a lot like Randy Johnson. Oh, it is. No, it wasn't names that obvious. But yeah, so he stacked it, and Meatloaf smoked us in this softball game. It was super humiliating, but what the hell? He died. So let's put him in heaven. He was a wonderful man. He was so nice. I was really, I don't know, but we had to like deal with him in that game, and he was the pitcher, and he would talk shit, and he was funny. Meatloaf was a good man. I'm putting him in heaven. I think he was a good man. Dead on this day in 2022. All right, there we go, folks. Those are the first 3 quarters of today's show. It's time now for us to move into all the hot topics and stuff that's happening today. I want to jump into the chat room for a second here. Channel 9 says Meatloaf is a Dallas native. Is he? Is he? I know he's a Southerner. I didn't know Texas. Maybe I thought Texas, Dallas though. Okay, very cool, very cool. That stands to me. He was like I said, man. He was a really friendly guy, like a regular guy. He was he had lost some weight at this point, so he was kind of like older, less gigantic Meatloaf. Like I remember sweaty Meatloaf from Bat Out of Hell with the scarves and that's not like the Meatloaf who was like pitching. And by the way, it also needs to be said, yes, his team was filled with ringers, but that's because Meatloaf takes baseball very seriously, and Meatloaf himself was very good. It's like, oh my God, Meatloaf is actually a jock. All right, let's get into the story, shall we? All right, first and foremost, it's not just National Championship Day. Apparently, we are swearing in a new president. We've got a new president, Donald Trump. He is what, 47? Is this 47 now? I lose track. I don't care. It's happening in Washington. It was originally going to be outside. It was inside. I liked that it was inside. I wouldn't go in. So, maybe if I was, going, I'd be like, oh, that kind of sucks. But I like the look of it inside. I thought it looked, look, I understand the optics of having it on the mall and having all of these people, but everybody's cold and uncomfortable. This was like being a fly on the wall at a party we're never going to be invited to. So it was interesting to be able to see this. It seemed more intimate. seemed like the camera could linger on notable people. And as I say, fly on the wall. We could sit and watch them, you know? Like I'm watching Dana White talk to the wife of Sheldon well, she's now the owner of the Mavericks. I'm watching Dana White talk to Miriam Adelson. I'm watching Zuckerberg chat up the Google guy. I mean, it's interesting from a fly on the wall standpoint. What I like to do in these cases is I like to look at facial responses and stuff like that. Like, I can tell you there's a lot of people don't look happy. They look like they're doing this because they have a sense of or an obligation, some personal obligation towards civility. And so they're sitting there and they don't look happy. Other people look real happy. I mean, oh my God, look at this. I'm looking at Governor, what's his name? I'm so out of politics. Governor Abbott. There you go. Looking at Governor Abbott right here in Texas. I'm also looking at Melania. Melania with her, what was described as a Carmen Sandiego hat. She looks like, hey, it's Johnny Torrio's birthday. She looks like Johnny Torrio, American gangster, American mob boss from the turn of the century, 1890s. That's what she looks like. She's got like this wide brimmed, it's white. Who else do we got? Let's see, some other observations that I had. Miriam Adelson. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about what she was wearing. I don't know if you saw her. She was the one wearing literally the rose-colored glasses, which must be nice when you're a billionaire. You can afford rose-colored. Real, actual prescription-grade rose-colored glasses is what Miriam Adelson was wearing. But she was also dressed in like some kind of, like she looked like the rocker. You know, it's like everybody's very buttoned up and very nice and all that stuff. And then Miriam Adelson, she's got like these rose-colored John Lennon glasses. She's kind of got like a sexy grandma haircut, sexy rich grandma haircut. And then she's wearing this like shirt, this jacket that looks like Prince would have worn it. And all kinds of buckles and straps and all kinds of things. It was cool. It was cool. Good. So let's talk about this guy. All right. What's going on here? Okay. So we're talking about the way people are dressed. Quite frankly, most people are dressed normal, like a normal person. But I want who I lovingly refer to. No harm, no malice, but come on, let's have a little fun. Can't we laugh at people? I call him Senator Grimace. Did you see Fetterman? When Fetterman showed up, Fetterman showing up to the inauguration. Oh my God, it's like we pulled him out of a cross-training session. Check this out. Okay, so here's Fetterman. This is a senator from the United States. Okay, here he is right here. Senator Grimace. Senator Grimace. What is he wearing? He's wearing a hoodie. He's dressed. Oh, God. You know what I expect? A couple of weeks ago, I told you the story about my 15-year-old son, how we love my 15-year-old son. And he's wonderful. He's terrific. He's a straight A student. He's fourth or fifth. I don't know. I'm not sure in his class. We're very proud of him on that. He's captain of his football team. He was winning awards. A couple of weeks ago, he won a bunch of awards, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Lineman of the Year, something like that, whatever. All district. He won these awards. It was great. It was one of these kinds of events that we're seeing here, where at the end of the season awards dinner, everybody's dressed nice. Well, unfortunately, his mama and I were divorced. We have a great relationship. I love her. She's a banger of a woman. Fantastic mom, too. So it's not like that. But he was left to his own devices. My 15-year-old son, before the awards banquet. So when I arrived, I saw him, and I'm like, you can change? And he's like, what? I'm like, you can change? Why would I change? Because you're dressed like this. This is what he was dressed like. Look at Fetterman right here. My son is there trying to get awards. He's dressed like Fetterman. It's humiliating. His mother was sitting there. It's like me and his mom. That's my phone, and I don't know where my phone is, so I can't hit silent. No idea. I know where my phone is. It's in my coat pocket, and it's way over there. So we're just going to have to ignore. You know what? I can't do it. I'm a responsible individual. Guys, give me a second here, okay? Enjoy this. We'll watch a little bit of Fetterman. I'll be right back. Guys, I have no idea where my phone is. Watch this over and over again. All right. Hi, what's up? Hold on a second. I seriously have no idea where my phone is. It was ringing in this room, and now it's missing. Found it. All that for something that said spam call. I do apologize. Man, I was working into a whole thing about Fetterman and how. All right, let's go back to that. All right, once again, here we go. All right. I didn't get to pause it. I got distracted. I'm expecting an important phone call about a meeting that's occurring later this afternoon, and I apologize, but I needed to make sure. All right, here you go. Look, here we go. Boom. There you go. Look at that. This is a United States senator showing up at the inauguration of a president. He's wearing a hoodie. By the way, an inauguration that was moved inside. Well, nothing says you were raised in a cold weather climate than in January, still just going with a hoodie and basketball shorts. That's how most kids in like the Midwest go to school every day. Maybe they'll have a jacket, maybe a vest, but what is this? Is he doing this on purpose? Here's my question. Is this a part of his brand? And what I mean by that is, did he wake up this morning and did he go, I should put on a suit, and then go, you know what? No, because my voters, they expect me to be one of them. They don't expect you to be a slob, okay? and who raised, I mean, he thinks this is appropriate? Or is he like, it's too serious a time to be bogged down in fashion? No, I mean, I don't know. This strikes me as being a little bit on purpose. Like he wants, I don't know. I don't like it. Anyway, let's keep going. Here you go. And there he is. He's in this. Fetterman. You got Melania. She's dressed like Carmen Sandiego, they're saying. And you got Fetterman wearing my son, 15 years old. That's it. We want to get back to this story. So my 15-year-old son is left to his own devices. It's the night of his awards banquet. His mom is coming straight from work, and I'm coming straight from here. I get there first. I see him. He's dressed like Fetterman. Every other kid, by the way, is wearing at least slacks and a sweater. My kid is literally dressed like Fetterman. He's wearing basketball shorts and a black long sleeve hoodie sweatshirt. He's like, what? This ain't a big deal. We're like, dude, you are going to be. So I sit down and I'm with his mom. His mom shows up. She didn't see him beforehand like I did. And I said, look, I just need to let you know. She's like, what? And I'm like, it ain't good. He's wearing shorts and a sweatshirt. Oh my goodness. His mother was mortified. Hey, because she's a good mom. And a good mom is mortified when she looks around and she sees everybody else's son wearing pants and a jacket. And then she's like, my kid is dressed like, again, he's going lifting, which is not what this night is about. He gets up, he walks the stage, everybody's applauding, and the guy in front of him is wearing a suit. The guy behind him's got a tie on, and my kid is dressed like Fetterman. So his mom, before this happens, his mom starts looking at him. You have to understand the kids are seated in one side of the auditorium, and the parents are in the other. And I'm sitting, me and his mom, we're sitting there, and she goes, oh, I'll get his attention. And she texts him. Right? And now we're looking at him. We see him right there, and he's with his friends. And she texts him. His mom texts him. And he goes like this. We see him. We're staring at him. He goes like this. He's talking with his friends. Here's his phone. He goes like this. After his mom texts him, he goes. Like, basically, what do they call that? He left his mom on red, and we saw him do it. Oh my God. It was that moment that his mom stood up. Everybody else's thing. She stood up and she just stared at him. And I was like, okay, before this, because mom don't mess around. She doesn't care about embarrassing him in front of his friends. She's going to humiliate him right here. And rightfully so. But I was like, wait a second, I got an idea. So I run out and I run over to his side. I'm like, come here. And we go to the bathroom and I take off my jacket because I'm dressed appropriately. And I take off my jacket because, we can wear the same stuff because he's 15 and gigantic. And I'm like, here, you put this on and take this sweater. And here, you know what? You can put these pants on. These pants will fit you. He's like, I'm not doing this. And all of a sudden, just outside the auditorium, I realized that I'm getting into a shouting match with my 15-year-old and everybody inside is about to hear it. So I went, you know what? We're not going to do this. You look like a slob and you're comfortable with that. And your mom is pissed. But hey, congratulations on all districts. And I walked away. And I sat down and his mom goes, how did it go? I go, well, I tried to make him wear my thing. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, he wouldn't do it. And she's like, so she stands up again. And at this point, it just got, they turned the lights down. And so she had to sit down. But oh my God, Fetterman. So there you go. How'd you like that? That was my inauguration take. That's it. That's my whole thing. People need to know how to dress, okay, for real situations. If we were on the radio, I'd be taking calls right now about situations where you were underdressed or overdressed and how you handled it. And I would determine whether or not you committed a sin or not, a fashion sin. What else do we got to talk about with the inauguration? All right, we can touch on this. So I guess on the way out the door, Biden signed a whole bunch of stuff. And then later today, Trump is going to sign a whole bunch of stuff, and nothing's going to change for you and I. Nothing's going to change. For the most part. There are things that change for some people, but I don't do politics. So, let's go. Going to be some parties tonight. I won't be watching any of them because, again, the only thing that's happening in my world is that there is a national football game today. There's a national title game. The college national title game is today. Ohio State versus Notre Dame. And as you can see, I'm kind of, my mind is elsewhere. All right, so let's get going. Let's move on to some other things. Inauguration. I don't want to do that stuff. Fetterman. Seriously, though, I can't get past how TikTok, let's talk about TikTok. TikTok was here on Saturday night. When was it? Saturday night that it went away? And it was Saturday evening. And I'm like, I'm going to play on TikTok because I almost never go to it anymore because it's so addictive. But it's going to go away. So why not? This is like, it was like prohibition. It was like everybody the night before drinking or booze became illegal in this country. We saw some of the greatest parties people threw. So that's, so I'm like, TikTok, Saturday night, let's go. And I'm on it for like an hour. And then at like 10 o'clock Saturday night, I get this pop-up that says TikTok has been closed in the United States. And I'm like, what? I got 2 hours. I'm Central Time Zone. It's 10 o'clock at night. We got at least an hour if we're going by Eastern. Why did you shut it down early? And it came right back. And it came back the next day. And let me see. Let me see what I get with TikTok. Here we go. TikTok, signing into TikTok for the first time. Nope, we're good. Still stupid stuff on TikTok. Call me. All right. So TikTok was gone and now it's back and everybody's good. Saturday Night Live. Did you guys see Saturday Night Live on Saturday? I tweeted X, whatever. I tweeted that I think, and I don't know that, this was obviously, I was just being excitable. But I tweeted that it may have been the best episode of Saturday Night Live ever. Saturday Night Live is one of those shows where, there's usually 70% dead weight, depending on if you like the musical act or not. But there's usually only one or two things that you're like, yeah, that was great. That was worth, 90 minutes. So the hit and miss, it's like Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball hitters and Saturday Night Live sketches are judged on the same sort of scale. I got to tell you, Saturday night was just one great segment after another. And it was the first time in a very long time that I was like, holy cow. Hosted by Dave Chappelle. The cold open was very funny. The cold open was, let's imagine MSNBC. It was all of the MSNBC people. And I believe they were covering the inauguration was the premise. And they were all pledging, all the MSNBC people, to this time not get distracted by all the tweets and the silliness. And of course, that sketch was just them being constantly, breaking news, Trump just tweeted, like that. It was very funny. It was very well done. It wasn't politically cruel. It wasn't hateful. It was funny. It was about the message. The joke was that we are incapable of being serious people, that we are just constantly distracted by the silly. And that's who we are. And that was the premise. It was very funny. Then Chappelle came out, and Chappelle did an opening monologue. Different than most other opening monologues. Dave Chappelle is different than most other opening monologists. Dave Chappelle is a social pundit of, I think, the highest order. And that is one of the most respected and highly regarded stand-up comedians in America. Whether you're talking about Lenny Bruce, Mort Saul, I can go deep with some of these names. Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Bill Hicks, Dave Chappelle. These are people at the leading edge of comedy and social disagreement. And where those things intersect is where these brilliant men find their comedy beef. So Lorne Michaels did something a little bit different for Chappelle. I guess because of the wildfire situation in California, and of course the looming Trump second term, which so many people will have you believing is a terrible apocalyptic thing. I don't go for much of that. But it was an important thing. Dave Chappelle famously was the guy who hosted Saturday Night Live. Was it after 9/11 or was it after the first Trump? I don't remember. Whatever it was. All I know is that in the history of Saturday Night Live, Dave Chappelle has been the guy in recent years that when something big is happening in America, you bring him out and he talks about it with us. So Lorne Michaels essentially gave him the first half-hour block of the show. They said, look, the monologue is usually 5 to 7 minutes. Usually there's a sketch on the stage with some of the other performers. We're not going to do that. We're just going to dim the lights. We're not going to show the band. Remember, they always show the band so you can gauge the reaction. They didn't do that. They dimmed out the band. They put Dave Chappelle on the stage alone, someone who I believe to be one of America's most interesting social thinkers. Okay, that's not me saying who's the smartest or the funny. I love the way Dave Chappelle's mind works. So what I want to do here is I want to watch the Dave Chappelle monologue from Saturday Night Live, where he covered any number of things. Talk about it, and I want to listen to it. I'm going to stop it. But if you haven't seen it, I hope you enjoy it. I thought it was incredible. He has the exact touch, I feel, to be the guy talking at a time like this. So let's watch this, okay? This is Saturday Night Live, a very special and different kind of opening segment. Dave Chappelle takes the stage. Here we go.
Dave Chappelle!
It's also smoking a cigarette, which is a very... In 2025, that means... That's a power move. Dave Chappelle walking out on network TV in 2025, smoking a cigarette is a power move because you're not allowed to smoke on television, and somebody is supposed to tell you you can't smoke on television. And it's a power move because it's Dave Chappelle saying, ain't nobody telling me I can't smoke on television. It's a power move. It's very cool. It's one of the reasons that I like Dave Chappelle. That's a nonsense rule to tell a performer when he's about to give everything. And that's what this is. He's just up there. No, this is emotionally very draining, this kind of thing. He's like, fuck you. I'm an artist. I'm going to talk to people and try and connect. And you know what? I'm going to have a cigarette while I do it because I'm a real normal person. You smoke.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Turn this up. I can't hear. Thank you, guys. Boy, I gotta tell you guys something. I'm being very honest. I am in quite the pickle tonight. And it started in October. Lauren Michaels called me, and he asked me to do Saturday Night Live, the first episode after the election. And I was like, nah, man, I'm cool. And he was like, why not? And I was like, man, things are going good. I finished my Netflix deal. I got all this money and stuff. And he's like, oh, man, no, come on, please. And I said, I tell you what, just to get off the phone, I go, you know what I'll do? I said, just save the date closest to January 6th. And then the date started rolling around, and in December, he started calling me again. And again, I was like, nah, man, I don't want to do it. And this goes on for like weeks and weeks. And then finally, you know, I go, you know what? I could just get rid of all these old Trump jokes and start fresh. I said, you know what? I'll do it. Thank you. Here we are. The moment I said yes, LA burst into flames. And it's a tough one, you know what I mean? Because I'm tired of being controversial. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. And it is way too soon to do jokes about a catastrophe like that. It is. You know what's crazy about it is this one hits close to home. Now, I don't live in LA. And I've never been like a big fan of LA, but I've built many, many memories there. And I have great friends there. And a lot of them lost their homes. Carrie Elways, who I starred in Robin Hood Men in Tights with, his house burned to the ground. Madlib, who was on Saturday Night Live with me last time I was here, his house burnt to the ground. So many people, I can go on and on. My first movie I did with Dennis Quaid, I saw him evacuating his house on the news with tears in his eyes, and it broke my heart. And then I go on the internet, and I watch these fire videos, and I read the comment sections, and everyone's like, yeah, it serves these celebrities right. I hope the house is burned down. And you see that? That right there? That's why I hate poor people. Because they can't see past their own pain. The other day on the news, they said that these fires were the most expensive tragedy that ever happened, natural disaster. They said it's the most expensive natural disaster that's ever happened in the United States history. And you want to know why I think that is? Because people in LA have nice stuff. I could burn 40,000 acres in Mississippi for like $600 or $700.
All right, not for nothing, but isn't that exactly what I said last week on why it's going to be the most expensive? Because you can't compare what has been lost in one part of the world where everybody has really expensive stuff and the housing prices are so much more valuable. Then, you know, with all due respect, it's going to be a much bigger thing. And it ain't just because, oh, the rich people get this much. No, it was bigger price tags. Everything is more expensive there. So therefore, to replace them, the cost will be far greater. And he's right. The one house in Pacific Palisades with an ocean view, all right, that's like 10 times more expensive than a trailer park. It doesn't mean that we don't help people equally, but it will be more expensive. So when you start hearing people going, why do they get so much? It's because it's so much more expensive to replace. And quite frankly, as I've learned over the weekend, a lot of these people aren't going to get their homes replaced. A lot of these people are. Anyway, let's go back to Dave.
And now when you watch the news or talk to my friends, they all have these conspiracy theories of what started these fires. Now, they say it's arsonists. I've heard this theory, and I'm sure there were some arsonists, but there were a lot of elements that came together to make this fire the catastrophe that it was. The winds were 100 miles an hour. LA was dry as a bone, and the levees, and there was just too many factors. if you were a rational thinking person, you have to at least consider the possibility that God hates these people.
Is Mr. Rush?
Sodomites. And that's not true because West Hollywood was unscathed. Because how can you burn what is already flaming?
Oh no! Oh my God! You just rock people.
Now we get there. A lot of poor people were affected too. A lot of just regular working class families were affected too. And a lot of those families found out the week of the fires that they lost their health, not their health, their fire insurance. But either way, Luigi is like, you're welcome. You know, Luigi killed him. And that kid did almost plan like the perfect crime. He did everything right. He planned everything perfectly. Only thing he forgot was to shave his eyebrows. As soon as I saw him on the news, I was like, yeah, that's him. Finally, they're getting in front of it. This week, thank God, these fires subsided. And not without help. A lot of countries pitched in. Canada sent planes that helped us out, and Mexico sent firefighters. And Trump was like, make sure they leave when they're finished.
That's his reactions.
Trump's a wild guy. He's a wild guy. I'll tell you something he did that made me crazy when he was running for president. When he was running for president, he said this at a debate. He said the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, were eating people's dogs and cats. That really upset me because I live in Ohio. In fact, what's up, Ohio? I live one town over from Springfield. Now, those of you who are from Ohio, I hope you know that's not what's happening in Springfield at all. What happened in Springfield is a lot of jobs went away. 20,000 Haitian immigrants were moved there by our government legally, and they pay market value for their rents, and they saved a lot of companies because they did jobs that the whites weren't doing. It's not that the whites couldn't do these jobs, but they were busy, doing other things. Heroin, sleeping on the streets, you know what it is. And those communities are immigrant communities who tend to be very successful. They don't come to America to not be rich. And when he said that community caught hell. There was like a jealousy that ran through the community, and there was nothing I could do about it. But because I was famous, I said, well, let me just be supportive. So every day, for like 10 days, I would drive a few miles over to Springfield and eat lunch at the Haitian restaurant. And let them know, if I'm safe here, you guys are definitely safe here. And to be honest with you, I don't know what that meat was.
Okay, that is, I think, the funny. To be honest with you, I don't know what that meat was. Oh God, hold on.
But whatever it was, it fell right off the bone, I'll tell you that. Now I'm even getting nervous in Ohio. Like, I might leave with the Asians. Now, I'm serious, man. You know what it is, man? It's just no fun being famous anymore. It's like y'all made it scary. You know what it feels like being famous? And scary is the right word. It feels like, and I'm not being dramatic, it feels like I'm storming the beach of Normandy, World War II. But I got to keep a happy expression on my face all the time. So imagine all the dangers storming the beach, but I still look like this. The bullets are whizzing by and stuff is exploding. I'm just like, and then every once in a while something terrible happens. Bow! And I'm like, oh no! Puffy got hit. And Puffy be like, oh.
All right, what? I'm going to skip ahead here because there's some things that I want to get to, but we don't need to play the whole thing. Let's jump ahead.
If we went to my mother's house tonight, she probably got the same baby oil we had when I was a little boy with the pink top, and somehow Puffy was all the way down to the last. And having baby oil is not illegal. They don't remind you about that part. That's the least harmful thing I read in that doc. He just used the wrong lube, I think. If he used Crisco, he would have got away with it. They'd just been like, oh, he likes to cook. Thanks. Thank God they caught him before those fires because there'd been a goddamn mushroom cloud over his house. 1,000 bottles of baby oil in there. Here's the thing. On Monday, Donald Trump's coming back. He'll be the 47th president. He's done it again. And all the flags will be at half-staff for many of them because Jimmy Carter died. Now, I got to tell you, Jimmy Carter, people go back and forth and say he was a bad president or a good president. I'm not qualified to even speak on that. But I'll tell you this. I was in the Middle East years ago. After I quit my show, I was trying to find out what I wanted to do with my life. And while I was there, Jimmy Carter flew to Israel. So everybody in the region was talking about a former American president being in the Middle East. And while he was in Israel, a book of his was released, and its title was very controversial in Israel. And the title of the book was Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. And people were very mad in Israel. There was a lot of mean stories that came out in the paper, but some people were supportive. And while he was there, Jimmy Carter said, I want to go to the Palestinian territory. And the Israeli government said it's too dangerous. And if you go, we cannot protect you. And man, Jimmy Carter went anyway. I will never forget the images of a former American president walking with little to no security while thousands of Palestinians were cheering him on. And when I saw that picture, it brought tears to my eyes. I said, I don't know if that's a good president, but that right there, I am sure, is a great man. It made me feel very proud. The presidency is no place for petty people. So Donald Trump, I know you watch the show. Man, remember, whether people voted for you or not, they're all counting on you. Whether they like you or not, they're all counting on you. The whole world is counting on you. I mean this when I say this. Good luck. Please do better next time. Please, all of us, do better next time. Do not forget your humanity, and please have empathy for displaced people, whether they're in the Palisades or Palestine. Thank you very much, and good night.
All right. All right. That's Dave Chappelle, his monologue. I skipped through some of the stuff, some of the stupid puffy stuff. He's obviously working on new road material, trying to work it out on Saturday Night Live. It was pound for pound the best Saturday Night Live episode that I've seen in a very long time. There were some other sketches that were really funny. They did a really, you know, you wanted them to do something about the fires, right? But that's a dangerous topic, right? Because it's not exact. It's a tragedy, but you know, there are elements there that are ripe for satire, and you would think Saturday Night Live might be involved. They did a sketch on the fires that had nothing to do with the fires, had nothing to do with blame, had nothing to do with global warming. It was just hysterical. And the premise was they were a family evacuating their home, and it turns out that dad has this crazy secret life. And, you know, he's like, hold on, you guys go. I got it. And he's ripping the walls down and pulling like millions of dollars out of the walls. The wife's like, where is this coming from? He's like, don't ask questions. That was a great way to handle it. It was very funny. Nothing controversial or, you know, political about it. I hope that's the attitude that Saturday Night Live starts to adopt. I hope that they stop being so sensitive and so politically obvious, right? That's sort of been the thing that has turned people off about discourse in this country in general. We've all been too politically obvious. Let's just kind of change that. And I think that's kind of sort of what Dave Chappelle was saying. We can all do better. Thought that was nice. Dave Chappelle, Saturday Night Live. All right, there you have it. What was the other sketch? There was another sketch that I liked. The Immigrant Dads. I thought that was really funny. The Immigrant Dad sketch. That dude Marcello, whatever his name is, the little cutesy Latino boy who's on Saturday Night Live now. I think he's gonna be a star. I think he's gonna be a big star. I think he can be in movies. Because in the beginning I was like, oh, who's this guy? But now I'm like, oh, he's good. He's got chops. He's actually talented. That's pretty good. Excuse me. All right, moving on. Let's see. What else do we have here? We want to talk football? We'll talk football. Why not? I get this. There's not a whole lot to discuss that's going on that I want to discuss. Let's talk football. Talk a little football. Okay, so big weekend of football. Here's what we got. The Lions lost. Championship game. What are we looking at here? Okay, so in the AFC, Ravens lost. Well, that was a good game. Ravens, Bills. Chiefs won. Chiefs won. So we got Chiefs and Bills in the AFC Championship game. Then over in the NFC, we got the Rams and we got the Eagles and the Commanders. Oh, that's right. It's a whole NFC East kind of a situation. All right. Cowboys on the outside looking in. That Buffalo game last night was great. How do we want to attack this? All right, let's start with the Kansas City game. Let's run through it. Kansas City and the Texans started the conversation out early with the ref thing, right? Refs, they suck. It went on all weekend. All of these games, I can't really, I'm a baseball guy. I love football. Don't get me wrong, football. But baseball, I feel, needs to have robot umpires behind home plate and at first base, and probably also on the foul lines. And, well, I guess we may as well do it in the center field, too, if we're going to want to get a full scale. My point is this. I understand we don't want to replace human officials, with robots, but we are in the gambling era of sports. Something is going to have to change. Because I am telling you, big money. Gambling is essentially legal everywhere except a handful of states. I expect President Trump to sign an executive order making it legal. So gambling is coming. Sports have made their decision. For years. Remember, it was Las Vegas could never have a professional team because the leagues are too serious about keeping gambling out. Well, not anymore. Now you DraftKings and, MG Bet Rivers and all of these different Bet This and Barstool Sports and that. Honestly, with all these AI things taking our jobs, the jobs available for the next generation of America is going to be professional sports bettor. I think that's kind of. So if that's what we're looking at, we better get this referee and officiating situation battened down. Baseball can do it very easily with balls and strikes. Isn't that insane when you watch a baseball game? Every broadcast of a Major League Baseball game has the pitch box. There is a box there that is the strike zone, and as soon as the ball is thrown from the pitcher to the catcher, it shows you in the box where in relation to the strike zone that ball landed. I am getting sick and tired of seeing strikes, perfect pitches being blown by umpires who are like, ball forward, take your base. There was no reason for this in baseball. And I'm telling you, gambling is going to make it so that we're going to have a robot back there. And they're going to know, because of infrared laser lights and all that, they're going to absolutely know whether something's a strike or not. It can be done. Football's the same way. There were the Will Anderson. It started out in the Kansas City Texans game with the Will Anderson unnecessary roughness for 15 helmet to helmet on Mahomes. Now, it started early, and I didn't get my hackles up too bad because it's Mahomes. And I'm like, oh, they got to protect him. They will always protect Mahomes. Not Kirk Cousins. You can knock Kirk Cousins' head off. Patrick Mahomes, oh my God, they'll bend over backwards to make sure you don't breathe on him incorrectly. Sort of like Tom Brady used to have. Peyton Manning before him. It's not new. So I didn't think too much of it. But then over the course of that game was absurd with bad, stupid calls. And then we've got all of these rules where like replay can't get involved. Why not? Why is that a rule? If replay is the end-all be-all as to how to actually determine whether the call was made correctly, why are there instances during a game when replay can't be used? Replay should always be used if it means getting the call right. And I don't just mean for like, we've got to do this properly because we're proper people. No, I'm talking because of gamblers. I'm talking people are going to die. People are going to get killed because refs are missing calls, and it was absurd. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we do with all the unemployed referees, right? And seriously, can we stop with that? Obviously, I'm being silly. It's like 40 jobs. It's like 40 jobs we're going to wipe out, okay? Nobody's worried about taxi drivers or truckers wiping out all those jobs with robot cars. Well, that's progress. So don't tell me about, we've got to save the jobs. There's like 40 umpires. These are all dudes who are working part-time anyway. Okay, these guys all run insurance agencies in your hometown. They do this baseball stuff as a lark. Stop worrying about them. Robots. Although football, I do kind of want guys out there. I do like when they get knocked down. You know, I like that. There are some elements. I think there's going to have to always be some form of a human element. How about we go half and half? There we go. We'll just eliminate half. Replace half. Line judge. We don't need a line judge. That's a robot's job to determine if everybody's right. We're probably gonna need guys on the field running around because we're gonna need that perspective until we can make a robot that can be that agile. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So then the next game we had, Kansas City wins. Of course they win. Kansas City's in the championship game. They'll be hosting Buffalo. Buffalo and the Ravens played yesterday. All right, the Buffalo Ravens game was very interesting to me because my Chicago Bears, they've got a coaching opening, and the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, Joe Brady, and the offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens, Todd Monken, are like two guys who are finalists. They're shortlisters for like the next head coach of the Bears. So I'm watching this game like, okay, let me see. Although the Ravens lost, I'm a Monken guy. I'm definitely more of a Todd. I think that Brady's success is no different than Dayball's success. We're talking about the Bills. I think that has a lot to do with the head coach and, quite frankly, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a beast. I don't know. You don't really need to do all that much with Josh Allen if he's your quarterback. So I like Todd Monken. Ravens lost, though. I felt bad. I felt bad for Lamar, but Lamar did it himself, right? Turnovers is what was the difference in that game. So the AFC Championship game. Got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Nance and Romo, these guys before the game, right? They're like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is going to be a good one. The unnecessary hype. Yeah, we were all excited. This is a good game. This is Baltimore against the Buffalo Bills, man. Let's go. Game of the weekend. This is the one I wanted to see most. But I think it was Romo who said, I can't remember the last time that I was this excited for a quarterback matchup. I'm like, what? Okay, you can't remember a time when you were more excited by a quarterback matchup between Josh Allen and... How about next week when it's Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes? Are you going to say the same thing next week? You're going to be like, this is the greatest. I'm so excited. I can't believe this. Stop it. Stop with the overhyping. Didn't Josh Allen just... Did we just have Lamar? Stop it with this. I ain't never seen anything. Tony Romo's working my last nerve. I got to be honest with you. I'm starting to get a little tired of Tony. So the Bills win. The Bills won. Bills won that game. And again, the Ravens turned it over. All right, let's go over to the NFC. What do we have in the NFC? So we had the Lions. Oh, yeah. We had the Lions Saturday night. Lions and the Washington Commanders, yo. They might be real. Teams get hot in the playoffs, and then it's, oh, boy. Feel bad for Detroit, right? I was really kind of hoping. I thought it would have been nice to have a Super Bowl with the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills, two teams that. But whatever, that's not going to happen. Now we got the Commanders. They've won Super Bowls. Jaden Daniels, huh? Yeah, man, I'm telling you. That game was another interesting one because it also featured two offensive coordinators who are theoretically on the short list. I mean, Ben Johnson is supposed to be the number one candidate for head coach for every team that there's ever been. Ben Johnson is a genius. He's so brilliant. He's so great. He's so give him whatever he wants. He's the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, who early on, like week 2, were anointed as the Super Bowl champions. Yeah, football experts on TV. No, absolutely no responsibility for the garbage they say. Starts with the draft experts. Those guys, this guy should be number 1. And then like Jamarcus Russell shows up. And then the next year they're back going, no, this guy should be number 1. I'm like, well, what about last year? No, there's no culpability. There's absolutely no responsibility taken. Weathermen, draft experts, and football experts. Detroit, unbeatable. Dan Campbell, greatest coach ever. Ben Johnson, give him whatever he wants. Cliff Kingsbury beat the snot out of both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, the two coordinators for the Lions that everybody has already anointed as the next. These are the new Kevin O'Connell and Sean McVays. Stop it. Stop it. Cliff Kingsbury. Because Cliff Kingsbury showed back up on stage. He's like, yeah. Remember how exciting I made Kyler Murray for like a year and a half? I'm doing it this time with Jaden Daniels. Let's roll. The knock on Cliff Kingsbury, if you remember, in that whole air raid thing, was that it required like a specific kind of quarterback with specific instincts. And the real problem with it was after 1 or 2 times playing against Cliff Kingsbury's offense, don't you remember, defenses figured it out. Defenses have figured Cliff out. Defenses know exactly what Cliff disappears for 2 years back into college, reemerges in the NFL, and all of a sudden nobody can figure out Cliff Kingsbury again. So you got my dumb ass going, well, maybe we make Cliff Kingsbury the head coach of the Bears. I mean, he was Caleb's coach in college. He was. I know it was Lincoln Riley, but the quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator at USC with Caleb Williams was Cliff Kingsbury. So let's bring him in. And then they'll bring him in, and then next season, everybody will have figured out Cliff Kingsbury again. That's how I see this going. Then you got the Eagles. The Eagles will be advancing. The Eagles will be playing the Washington Commanders for the NFC. The Eagles beat... who the Eagles beat? The Rams. Who cares? The Rams, you weren't supposed to be there. That's why I couldn't remember the Rams. I'm like, I didn't think the Rams were good this year. Somebody had to make it, right? San Francisco wasn't making its case. All right, so we got the Eagles and the Commanders, and that game's going to be in Philly, right? I think so. And then, of course, Bills and Chiefs, that game's going to be in Kansas City. Holy shit. I got to tell you, I watched the game last night. I watched the Bills game last night with a diehard, lifelong, born and raised Buffalo Bill fan. And it's tough. I feel for him. Not that I got any compassion from him about what I'm going through today. I'm a mere hours away from realizing that my college football team is going to get blown out on national TV again. It'll probably be about, within 2 minutes of the first half. That'll be when I'm like, holy shit, they're already up 24. Remember I said 24 because there's a good chance it's 34. And I'm like, Pugs was being silly, but he was undershooting the actual number. Remember that. So I watched it with a Buffalo Bills fan. He went through a lot. That was a rough one, man. And then, now you got Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, your arch nemesis. Oh, jeez. Oh, here we go. Do I have a pick? Kansas City, Buffalo? I'm Buffalo, man. Let's go. Let's go, man. I don't know anything. I'm telling you who I want to win, right? And can they win? Damn right they can win. Have you seen Josh Allen? Of course they can win. Will they win? I don't know. It seems like the whole world is Kansas City's going to win 2 in a row. Okay, whatever. We'll see. I know it ain't coming from the NFC, though. I know that's the deal. I know that neither the Philadelphia Eagles, I know that that's the Super Bowl next Sunday in Kansas City. Whoever wins that is just going to, it's like the Super Bowl compared to the Washington. I don't think Washington can, but Washington played the Lions. The Lions, that was a trap game. Can you imagine Dan Campbell allowed his Lions to fall into a trap game in the divisional round? That's not supposed to happen, but the Lions had been told forever that they're the greatest team. And, this is a nice little tune-up with aren't they cute? Jaden Daniels led Washington, and Washington came in and smacked him in the face. That's called football. That's why we play the games. All right, I got nothing to tell you. I got nothing. I don't know. I got a real bad feeling. Like I had hoped that it would be 2 teams in the Super Bowl that we'd never seen in the Super Bowl win before. I had hoped it was going to be Buffalo and Detroit. Wouldn't that be a great story? How many times has Buffalo been to the Super Bowl and lost? Their fans are heartbroken. Detroit, they've got a couple of championships, but in the Super Bowl era never been. Wouldn't that have been great? But no, we can't get that. You know, we're going to end up getting Kansas City and Philadelphia again. That's what our Super Bowl is going to be. Seriously, think about that. The Super Bowl is going to be played between 2 teams who have won 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls or something absurd. That's what I fear. National championship game is tonight. Don't even know what channel it's on. Not even sure what time. I can't delude myself with such things because I'm seriously just trying to manage my emotional state. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish will be taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes in the national championship game today. I'm a Notre Dame fan. Also, despise Ohio State. Always have. I'm a Big Ten guy. I grew up in Big Ten country. I mean, with the exception of Notre Dame being my college school that I root for. I'm a Big Ten guy. I like Northwestern. I like Wisconsin. I like Penn State. I like Illinois, Michigan. I like those schools. Don't like Ohio State. Hate them. Oh my God, do they suck as people? They just are so unlikable. They really are. They're like, dare I say it? Don't say it. I'm gonna say it. Don't say it. They're like A&M fans. Oh my God, I said it. Oh, look at this. Texas A&M taking strays from me. Ohio State sucks. I hate them. Oh my God, I hate them. And it's just going to be so emotionally disturbing to watch them celebrate in the way that they're going to be celebrating tonight. So this is what I do. I trick myself because I typically get my heart broken in big games rooting for teams that I love. So I'm trying to trick myself. I'm just trying to be like, you get blown out. They're gonna, because I'm always wrong. See, I'm always wrong. So let's be wrong. Come on, God. I challenge you. Keep up the streak. I'm always wrong. So make me wrong today. Make me wrong. Notre Dame's going to get blown out by like 40. It'll be over by halftime. It will absolutely be over by halftime. All right, let's go from there. Now, let's talk about these 2 teams because I told you that I was going to give you a little bit of an inch of fascinating backstory. This is really great for Notre Dame. This is the fact that they are back in a national championship game. If I'm being honest with you, I would have told you straight to your face over the last 10 years that there's no way that Notre Dame will ever get back to a national championship game. It is just, no, I'm sorry. It's where they play. Look, it used to be that you could lure the best players in the country to Notre Dame with the lure of a national TV contract. Because, you could say, hey, look, you're going to be on national TV coast to coast every single game of your college career. Notre Dame, we have an exclusive contract with NBC. Right? Oh, so I was always, but then there were other things. The weather and the build of the SEC, the way the SEC became this incredible thing. And then, of course, the Big Ten followed suit. And Notre Dame still remaining an independent. They're a small school. They're hard to get into academically. I mean, there's all of these weird academic things. And then when you go to Notre Dame, you're not going to a normal college. You're not going to Arizona State. There aren't frat parties and keggers and all that stuff at Notre Dame. It's a Catholic college for a bunch of nerds, a bunch of super smart, super wealthy Catholics. Those are the people who go to Notre Dame, okay? And, black kids from Georgia who run like 4.3, they also go to Notre Dame, but not to the extent that they go to other places, and that's my point. Marcus Freeman comes in there. He's a new coach. He is a whole new electric energy. Everything has changed. Kids are now wanting to go to Notre Dame. They have the number 2 ranked recruiting class going into next year, and thankfully, that might change if they lose by 40 points on national TV tonight. But that's all due to Marcus Freeman. Great believer in coaches and culture and all of that stuff. I told you earlier today how amazing it is, the talent differential. Notre Dame has 1 5-star recruit playing on its team. One. They got one guy who the rest of college football is like, yeah, that guy's as good as it gets. That's it. They got one. Ohio State has either 12 or 15. I'm not sure. It's one of those two. It's crazy. That's the difference in talent. Ohio State is the biggest. I believe it's the second, or is it the biggest? University of Texas and Ohio State are the 2 biggest universities in America. They're massive, gigantic behemoths. Notre Dame is smaller than SMU. You ever been to SMU? Notre Dame is a small private Catholic school in the middle of Indiana. Not even the middle of Indiana. It's the top of Indiana. Right off of Lake Michigan. South bend of the lake, if you will. What was the other thing? Oh, the independent thing. So Notre Dame is not in a conference. It's another reason why I thought that there was absolutely no way that they would ever get this far, because I felt that the system was designed to, promote conference play, and Notre Dame being an independent. Anyway, here we are. Why are they an independent? And this is an interesting. A lot of people say Notre Dame's going to just go into the Big Ten, and I'm like, no, they're not. Are you nuts? Big Ten would love to have Notre Dame. Any conference would love to have Notre Dame. Notre Dame ain't going into any conferences. You know why? Because like I told you, without being affiliated with anybody, Notre Dame has a national network TV deal with NBC. NBC feels that Notre Dame is so important coast to coast that they gave other networks, ABC, CBS, ESPN, they make deals with conferences. ABC's got the Big Ten. CBS and ESPN's got the SEC, the ACC. They all make these deals. Not NBC. NBC went, we just want Notre Dame. Now, why did they make that decision? Especially when they did it at a time when Notre Dame wasn't even dominant. They did it because Notre Dame is a different kind of college. And it's the reason that my kid, who's 15 years old in Plano, Texas, who's never set foot on the South Bend campus, is a diehard Notre Dame fan. It's because Notre Dame, unlike every other college in this country, relies on an alumni base. It relies on regional loyalty. It relies on, we're from this part of Texas, so we like this Texas team. Every other college in America is representing a geographical area. Not Notre Dame. Notre Dame, from the very beginning, represents the American Irish Catholic immigrant. That's why they have a national platform, because the Irish American immigrant didn't get to go to college, okay? They were as low as it came, and they were treated like absolute garbage everywhere in civilized society of the time. Except for when Newt Rockne and Notre Dame started becoming this thing in football, and the name the Fighting Irish and the clover leaf and the idea that Irish Catholics could be cool, that there could be something that galvanized generations of Irish Americans. So if you grew up in Oregon and your last name is, McMurray or something, you're a Notre Dame fan. You've never been to Indiana. You're a Notre Dame fan. Because your grandpa or because somebody else, especially if you're culturally in touch with your ethnicity. So that's the difference. That's why Notre Dame is independent. They don't need to group themselves with 9 other colleges in order to hoodwink ESPN into giving them $100 million over the next 10 years. Notre Dame goes to NBC and says, You know how many Irish Catholics there are in New York? Do you know how many Irish Catholics in Boston? You know how many Irish Catholics in Chicago? You know how many Irish Catholics in Los Angeles? You know how many Irish Catholics in Dallas? You know how many Irish Catholics? Notre Dame plays home games in Texas. So it's different. It's different. It's not special. It's like, oh, Notre Dame think they're special. No, it's a different sort of fan base than every other college in the country. I mean, it's similar to the Ivy League. I guess you could say the Ivy League, right? Like there are people all over the country who are like, go Harvard, but that's not a big time football thing, whereas Notre Dame for some reason is. Here's another reason why they're always going to be independent. They will never not be independent. Tonight's national championship game between the University of Notre Dame and Ohio State University will be worth $1.2 million to Ohio State University. Just for showing up, just for making it to the game, Ohio State gets $1.2 million. Notre Dame gets 20. Notre Dame's pulling 20 million for this game. Ohio State's pulling 1. Why? Because Notre Dame doesn't have to share with anybody. Notre Dame gets the full load. Ohio State gets 1.2 million because Wisconsin needs their taste. Because the Big Ten has like 20 teams. And that's the deal with TV and with the playoff system. You agree that you will share with your conference. Notre Dame doesn't have to do that. So, look, they're going to get blown out by 40 points, and they're going to make more money, and their recruiting is good, and maybe it's a new era. And Marcus Freeman. I know, I'm not talking about Ohio State at all. I don't care. I don't give a shit about Ohio State. I hate them. This is a biased show. I'm a Notre Dame fan right now, so not going to, a couple more minutes and we'll be done and we'll move on. Wearing a jersey for crying out loud. Ohio State, here's what I hate about Ohio State. Ohio State is going to win a national championship tonight. And the fan base is still calling for the head coach Ryan Day. They want him fired. Remember when Ohio State lost to Michigan a couple of months ago and that big fight broke out? That was awesome. That was like one of the coolest moments in sports in 2024. Big fight between Ohio State and Michigan, because Michigan, who absolutely blew chunks this year, Michigan, wiped them out. And Ryan Day, the head coach of Ohio State, he thought he needs to be fired. Meanwhile, the playoffs start, and here we are now at the title game. Ryan Day, who these idiots would have fired a month ago. So, I don't know. I just don't like the team. I don't like the team. I don't like the fans. I don't like Ryan Day. Notice this tonight. When you're looking at the coaches, Ryan Day's like too young to have had the plastic surgery that I believe he's had. I have no proof of this other than just looking at that weird guy. Ryan Day's got he's got the smoothest skin I've ever seen. It's like, something going on. Ryan Day should not be the head coach of the Ohio State football team and be as concerned as he is about his skin as he seems to be. He looks like he's got like skin treatments that he does. His face is weird. Why are you judging people on their appearance? Because look at me. That's why. I'm allowed. All right, let's keep going. Frankie says Ohio State is a big state university without a competitor in state. Cincinnati. Cincinnati is their in-state competitor. But yeah, you're right, Frank. There's not there's other universities in Ohio. There's crap tons of them. But Ohio State is the biggest. And it's not like here in Texas where I guess you have Texas A&M and the University of Texas, and those kind of split the state. And Texas Tech, Illinois. Like, we've got all the Compass schools in Illinois. We don't have that here in Texas. Like in Illinois, the Compass schools. So we've got Northern Illinois University, Southern Illinois University, Eastern Illinois University, Western Illinois University, Illinois University, University of Illinois Chicago, University of Chicago, Illinois State. And then there's a bunch of private ones. Northwestern, I don't know, Bradley, whatever. I don't know. All I know is that I have to be prepared to watch my team get smoked tonight. And I also have to have my 15-year-old son prepared for it because he hasn't been here through. And again, as I said in the beginning, I watched them win it all. Okay. I saw the team that I root for, my college team. I saw them win it all. I'm good. I checked that box. And when I was in college, it was like when I was actually, that was awesome. Not there, of course, because nobody who roots for Notre Dame went to Notre Dame. I'm sorry, but that is just a very real thing. Let me find something here. Hold on. Show you something. So many people lie about the whole Notre Dame thing. Yeah, I wanted to show this. I don't know where it is. Let me see. By the way, this show's basically done. We're just filling time at this point. I'm too preoccupied with the game. Shane Gillis, my favorite comedian. He, I don't know what this is for. It's for some...
I haven't been here in a while, but
here.
Hey, guys.
Did this as a Notre Dame fan. I thought this was pretty funny.
God, it's me, Shane. I haven't been here in a while, but I have a pretty big prayer for you. Notre Dame's in the national championship on Monday. I know you know, because you've been with us the whole time. A couple weeks ago, that field goal, I know you had a lot going on, so that was pretty chill. You took time to help us with that. I should also say I have not bet on any of these games. All right, I half bet, but going forward, if Notre Dame wins, thou will not bet on games for a month, a couple weeks. We'll probably bet on Sunday. Come on, God, I know you can help us. Trucking dude, pick sixes everywhere. Boom. Have a couple fumblerooskies. Just please let Notre Dame win a national championship.
Hey, what are you praying for?
Praying for Notre Dame. What are you praying for?
Say Notre Dame.
All right, cool.
Shh. What? Did you go to Notre Dame?
Yeah, I went to Notre Dame.
Oh.
I'm sorry, that was a lie, guys. No, I didn't go to Notre Dame. Did you?
No, my uncle did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Shh. Shh. Go Irish.
All right. I thought that was great. Did you go to Notre Dame? Yeah, I went to Notre Dame. Nah, I didn't go to Notre Dame. No, me neither. My uncle did. Really? Like anybody who's raised in that culture, anybody who goes to Notre Dame is suddenly like super important. They're like, really? You went to Notre Dame? You actually went there? Wow, you got in? So you had good grades and you had enough money and all that stuff? All right. University of Football in America. How we doing on our Cowboys coach? You guys with the Cowboys coach search. It's like a lot of surprising names. Like, you know, in the beginning, we were all having fun with the idea of Deion Sanders, like Deion, Jason Witten, right? And then it started to get a little sober. He started to sober up a little, and then you started to hear the Kellen Moores creeping in, and you're like, you can see that. Now we got some like wild ones. There's like people the Bears ain't even looking at, and the Bears have had like 20. Bears have had 20 interviews, and there are names. What is Elon Musk doing? Elon Musk is giving a speech. I'm not going to be distracted by Elon Musk's speech at the inaugural celebrations. I'm not going to allow it to happen. Although I completely forgot what I was just talking about. So, whatever. I guess that's no better sign than that the show is probably on fumes. Jeff Ballard says that Ohio State fans are the college equivalent of Eagles fans. Yeah. I mean, they're just, yeah. They suck, man. I'm sorry. They're like, they're just, I've never met an Ohio State fan that, I don't know. I never liked them, though. I never liked them because even as a littlest kid, like you want to go back to like the Woody Hayes era of Ohio State football, even as a littlest kid, I was always like a Bo Schembechler guy. So I was always, and by the way, being a Michigan guy, I know what you're saying. You're like, Pugs, how can you be a Michigan guy and a Notre Dame guy? I'm like, I don't know. but back when that rivalry was going on, I used to like root for Notre Dame over Michigan. But, you know, in other games, I'm a Michigan guy. I'll root for Michigan. I got no problem. Michigan's an honorable. I'm talking about a big-time college football program. I use the word honorable. Holy cow. Woo, we're done. Let's see here. Adam says, I'm not excited or upset with that, though I'd rather have a more dynamic play caller. I think he's talking about Kellen Moore. Now, who are some of the other names, though? There are a couple of other, like, weird names. I thought like Todd Monken was a weird name, but I got to tell you, man, I really like Todd Monken, who's the offensive coordinator. Check this guy out. All right. So he's one of the finalists for the Chicago Bears job, which I'm a little alarmed that I'd never heard of him. Aside from, there's a lot of offensive coordinators I've never heard of, right? So that's not a big deal. But I am a little surprised that I'd never heard of him. And then all of the sudden, he's like the hot guy around Hallis Hall. They're like, yeah, we really kind of like what this guy has done. And then you come to find that he's a Chicagoan, like he was born and raised there, and he's a Bears fan and all this and he comes from a family of coaches in the western suburbs and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. Is he now the Hallis family's favorite because he was raised a Bear fan? We got to stop this, okay? We got to stop with giving special treatment or people who simply are fans of the Bear organization. Do you know that we've got like 10 guys on this team who are local? There's like the whole team is swimming in dudes who played high school football in the Chicago area. And I don't want to be a jerk or anything, but the Chicago area isn't known for its high school. It's just not. I mean, it'd be one thing if you're like, yeah, the Dallas Cowboys have a team with 10 guys who played Texas high school football. I'd be like, yeah, pretty much every team should be like that. Not Illinois high school, not Chicago area high school football. That's you can field an NBA team maybe with that because, basketball is much different up there than it is. But, yeah, so that's ridiculous. But I do like Todd Monken. Check out his last 4 years. This is the last 4 years of offensive coordinator Todd Monken's professional life. He won 2 consecutive national championships with Georgia. He was Georgia's offensive coordinator. And then he went to the Baltimore Ravens, where in his first year, he got Lamar Jackson, another MVP. And then this year, he's got the number 1 offense in football. Number 1 rushing, number 1 passing. I think number 1 overall, number 3. Yeah, whatever it is. I don't know. But he's very, never heard of him. Like Todd Monken. Then I come to learn this dude's a pistol. This dude's hysterical. You want to know what a big problem with this Todd Monken guy that we're hearing about what might be a deal breaker for him coming to the Chicago Bears? He swears too much. Yeah, you're not allowed to swear with the Chicago. Oh, did you know that? Oh, you guys didn't know? Oh, my God. There are so many fun facts about what it is to be a Chicago Bear under 105-year-old Virginia. The team's boss is like this sainted old lady. She's like Mother Teresa. And there are rules. Can't swear in the building. Can't swear. Todd Monken swears too much. Apparently, he was featured on Hard Knocks, and he's like, this MFing, this the butter. Hey, get your MFing bet. He's that guy. So like, Virginia's not going to like that. I'm like, well, he coaches football, okay? Hard Knocks last year. Hard Knocks summer. Remember that? It was a Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears. No swears. You heard no swears. You didn't even notice, but you heard no swears. That was a big thing. Like, okay, but there can't be any swearing. Oh, that's like Steinbrenner and the Yankees with mustaches. Steinbrenner's like, no facial hair. You look like a damn hippie. Hey, George, it's 1990. Hippies aren't around anymore. He's got a mustache because it's fashionable. Now stop it. I'm nervous. I'm doing nothing else here. Frank says basketball is big in Texas like baseball, but not as much followers. Yeah, I know. You know how I know this? Because my son's high school, my son doesn't play high school basketball. He plays football. My son's high school basketball team last year finished the season as the #1 high school basketball team in the nation. National champions. They were the first team. My son's high school basketball team last year was the first team in Texas high school basketball history to do the entire season undefeated and then ran through the playoffs undefeated. First in history. Then, end of the season, ranked #1 overall by Rivals, by Scout, by Max Preps. They were the #1 rated ranked high school basketball team in America last year. And you know how I know that? I know that because I saw a newspaper article about it. And then I told my son, who goes to that school, and he's like, "Wow, Dad, I didn't know that." That's how I know basketball isn't a thing. He didn't even know. He plays in athletics at that school. Actually, that's not true. I'm underselling it. He did know. He knew that they won state. But here's what he said. I go, "Dude, do you know how good your basketball team is?" And here's what my son said to me. He goes, "Yeah, somebody was talking about, they're supposed to be like real good, right?" I'm like, "Man, why aren't you at all the games? Why isn't this taking over your school? This is something so special." And by the way, not a single scholarship player on that team. Not a single 7-foot dude who's on his way to Kentucky. Not a single. But a bunch of like Indian kids. There's like 2 kids that are like from India on the team. And then like there's nobody, like the tallest kid on the team. Again, #1 high school basketball team in America last year. Tallest kid on the team was like 6'3". Because they played team basketball. Played like 1950, and they crushed everybody. My kid doesn't even know it. It's his high school. So yeah, there's nothing. High school basketball is nothing in Texas, but that doesn't mean the talent isn't here. There's talent here. Jimmy King from the Fab Five went to my son's high school, played basketball at my son's high school. So that school's got a basketball tradition, and I got a kid who's a football player. All right, whatever. It's all right. Ugh. I don't want to sign off, but I got to sign off. I got to be done. We got to be done. There's no two ways about it. 2 o'clock, 3.5 hours. Is that 3.5 hours now until the game? Holy cow. Any advice for me? Any advice in the chat room? I'm hungry. What am I going to eat? I got to eat something. I got to eat something, but it's got to be appropriate. It's got to be game. No, why? Why do I need to do that? I'm going to lose. I'm okay with the idea with my team losing. I'm totally okay with that. Check in. Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Hold on. Hold on, guys. You gotta do something real quick. All right. I have no idea if this is gonna work or not. Let's see. Let's check in with the boy. Let's see how he's doing. It's Martin Luther King Day. My kid's off school again because kids don't go to school anymore. There's a reason to be off school. I get it.
Hello.
Hey, behave yourself. Don't swear. You're live on the stream. How are you?
I'm fine. Why?
This is my son. I'm just because I'm going through some things here, kiddo. We're 3.5 hours away. I just want to know how you're handling it.
Oh, right. That is today.
Wait, you are handling it well. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right, there he goes. That's my son. See? He's doing the same thing as I am. He's like, I am not going to build it up. Oh, that is today. Good for him. He's a funny kid. All right. So we're going to make it. We're going to make it, and we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll do the show tomorrow, and I'm not going to be devastated. I will be okay with the result, which is undeniably that Notre Dame will lose by 40 points to Ohio State, and we'll have to watch some of the most reprehensible people in all of college sports have a really good night. So there you go. Hi, everybody saying hi. Look at that. Hello. Adam says, I too hate Ohio State, and I'm a perfect Catholic. I don't believe in God. All right. Look, I know one of the things about being a Notre Dame fan your entire life. I mean, I know that we're hated. Notre Dame is hated. We're sitting here crapping on Ohio State. Are you kidding me? Notre Dame is. People hate Notre Dame, and rightfully so. They're snobby. They've always been snobby. Even people who love Notre Dame, when they run into people who actually went to Notre Dame, they dislike them. After being wildly impressed that they went to Notre Dame, they immediately go, "Oh, that guy's a dick." They're snobs. So Notre Dame is a school for rich people and pro athletes. It's rich people, super rich, and pro athletes. But again, it means something to an immigrant class in America, an immigrant class that was very important in building this country in the previous century. The Irish immigrant who was crapped on, wasn't given jobs. Irish need not apply. You know, a lot of that had to do with, I was talking to my son about this. A lot of that had to do with the reason that the Irish immigrant, when they came over here, as all the other ethnic groups did at the time, the Italians, and all ethnic groups were sort of looked down upon, but nobody quite liked the Irish. And it was crazy because the Irish had an advantage over many of the other immigrant groups, which was that they spoke English, right? The Italian immigrant coming over here had to learn a new language, and the Polish immigrant came over here, and that's why you got dumb Polak jokes, because Polish laborers couldn't speak and they were considered stupid. But the Irish spoke perfect English, and they were still the lowest of them all. Why? Because there was great English influence in this country at the time, and the English hated the Irish. So when the Irish came over here, people who knew nothing about the Irish, but they would have heard, "Oh yeah, my English friend tells me about these. They're going to steal our dogs and eat them. They're gonna eat the geese out of the lakes." I mean, that's how the Irish immigrants were treated. It was common for there to be signs: help wanted, hired on the spot, Irish need not apply. So we're going to hire the Irish. So that's why Notre Dame kind of embodies something for Irish people and Catholic people in this country. It's the American dream. It's the embodiment that from Irish need not apply to Notre Dame University, right? That's what they came here for, to somehow attain that level of, I mean, that's Catholic royalty. That's Irish Catholic royalty in this country. So that's why it's different. And they're going to get blown out. Oh my God, we're going to get blown out. And they're unlikable. Notre Dame has been unlikable. Lou Holtz was unlikable, highly unlikable. Charlie Weiss was highly unlikable. Brian Kelly is still highly unlikable. But now we got Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is not unlikable. He's a dude. Everybody loves Marcus Freeman. And look at what he's been able to do in 3 years. Pretty impressive. So maybe it's a new era for Notre Dame. Maybe they do have a chance to win. Maybe all of this stuff and baggage and protections that I've built up, maybe that's all for naught. Because maybe, just maybe, the luck of the Irish will come into play tonight. Let's all hope. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm fine either way. Hell, my son's pretending like he's not even paying attention to it. Bye, everybody.